Hello, everyone, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Rogue Valley in Medford, Oregon. I'm Kimberly Hawkins, Spiritual Director here, and we're delighted you decided to join us. We are an inclusive, progressive spiritual community, and we welcome each one of you no matter where you may happen to be on your own personal spiritual journey. We believe there are many paths, but one God. I want to recognize a couple people before we go to our opening song. Our practitioner this morning is Nancy Clay, who will be doing our opening prayer and reading. Our Facebook chat manager is Alexa Ehrlich. Please feel free to type in your name and where you're watching from so we can connect with you. And our musicians this morning are Heather Hutton and Lauren James, who now have our opening song.
Hey everyone, this is I Start My Day by Karen Drucker and John Hoy. Good morning, everybody. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of, is love. Start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of, is love. Let's sing about love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. Sing about peace, 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 peace. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. Let's sing about joy, 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 joy. Yeah! Joy, joy, joy. Again. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Can you feel it? Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy.
There is only one power and one presence, one substance, one intelligence that creates and makes everything that exists. Knowing this gives my life purpose. It gives my life meaning because I know that my thoughts, the desires of my heart, the longing of my soul, all bring new realities into fruition in every moment in time, eternally. This is our belief of the universe and how it functions. This is the source of faith in my life and the life of many others. And we're so pleased this morning to be able to share this honoring of our philosophy together with you and together with everyone else on the planet who is doing likewise. So with great gratitude and with great love, we can say together, and so it is. I have just one reading this morning, and the title of it is Faith Keeps Me Focused on God. I may not be able to control what happens around me, but I am always free to choose what happens within me. My perception determines my experience. I begin with faith. I choose to see the vibrant wholeness that is present even during difficult times. I open my heart and mind to the harmony that I know is possible, even in the midst of apparent discord. When my needs appear greater than my resources, I remind myself to all supply springs forth from the inexhaustible well of divine substance. I am reassured by remembering all situations are temporary and God is greater than every circumstance. Through my faith, I align my thoughts with the divine and believe in the truth that sets me free. And so it is.
Thank you to Michael Stillwater for this song on letting go. Letting go just a little bit more. I feel the power grow just a little bit more. I can feel it overflow just a little bit more. Help me let go. Help me let go. Help me let go. Help me let go just a little bit more. Help me let go. Help me let go. Help me let go just a little bit more. Help me let go. Help me let go. Help me let go just a little bit more. Letting go just a little bit more. I can feel the power grow just a little bit more. I can feel it overflow just a little bit more. Help me let go. Help me let go. Help me let go. Help me let go just a little bit more. Help me let go. Help me let go. Help me let go just a little bit more. Help me let go. Help me let go. Help me let go just a little bit more.
Wow, how beautiful. Thank you, Heather and Lauren. Help me let go. My talk title this morning is Holding On and Letting Go. And I want to share a little of the backstory with you about how I came up with that title. We were on a morning spiritual practice call last Monday. We have those several times a week. And one of the participants shared that she was in that terrible, agonizing place trying to decide whether or not to put her kitty down. He was old and he wasn't well and he hadn't been doing well for a long time. And that's such a hard thing. I think many of us have gone through that with a pet. You don't want them to suffer, but you don't want to do it too prematurely if there's some quality of life left, and plus you're going to miss them, and it's just not a fun decision. And someone else on the call said, wow, holding on and letting go, those are tough decisions. And I went, oh, that's a good talk title, Holding On and Letting Go. And by the way, this person shared with us that she had actually scheduled an appointment at 3 o'clock one afternoon to have her cat put down. And that morning she said to him, Jesse, you need to give me a sign. If you're not ready to go, if it's not the right time, I need a sign. And she said, it's really good I scheduled the appointment in the afternoon because around noon he got up. He started to walk around. He was interested in food. And so for right now, I can report that Jesse is home with his mama, they're both hoping, I think, that he makes a slow recovery from a long illness. So we'll see. But I love that she was asking for a sign, like Heather and Lauren's song, help me let go. We do have help available when we need to make those tough decisions. So holding on and letting go, it reminded me of a couple things. Joseph Campbell's quote, which you may be familiar with, we must be willing to let go of the life we have planned in order to have the life that is waiting for us. I love that. And I really thought about this. Letting go and holding on, that balance and figuring out that balance is really what life is all about, is it not? In so many different areas. What also came up for me was a song that you may be familiar with. It's called The Gambler. It was written by Don Schlitz and sung by Kenny Rogers. And it's about poker, but it really applies to the game of life as well. So it goes something like this. If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. I can't sing, as you probably guessed, but don't you love that? You got to know when to hold 'em, you got to know when to fold 'em, you got to know when to walk away, and you got to know when to run. So true. Thank you, Lauren, for giving me a little melody, which I was lacking there. So, in regard to the quote from Campbell, there's a sweet story that I'd like to share with you. It's a story of a very gifted, talented, somewhat famous in the musical world, mezzo-soprano by the name of Lorraine Hunt Lieberson. When she was in Europe, she started out her musical career as a viola player. But on a tour in Europe, someone stole the viola. And she could have replaced it right away, but she was kind of thrown into some confusion and some despair about losing the viola. So she waited. And while she didn't have her instrument, she began to develop the only other instrument she had, which was her voice. And 2 years later, she was full-blown, this amazing, amazing vocalist who had a brilliant career. Unfortunately died at the age of about 52. But I thought that was so interesting. We have to be willing to give up the life we had planned. She was a principal viola player for, I think it was the San Jose Orchestra. She was good. But there was something even greater awaiting her when she was willing to go with the flow and not run out right away to fix, to hold on, to grab on to what was. I think a lot of us have stories in our own lives of that. Maybe we lost one job and there was something waiting even better, or didn't get the bid on the house in this crazy market that we wanted, but there was something waiting for us that was even better. So as I thought about this topic, I'm aware that probably each one of us in our heart of hearts has some area in our lives where we're struggling, like Jesse's mom was, about whether to hold on or let go, about when to hold them and when to fold them in the game of cards, is what we say. So maybe it's a relationship that we're not sure about, or maybe it's just the form of the relationship. Maybe it's a habit we've gotten into that really isn't good for us, or thoughts and beliefs about ourselves, thoughts and beliefs about others. Sometimes it's an addiction. So as I speak this morning, I'm going to invite each of us to take an inventory. What is it that's working in our lives, and what is it that we're maybe being called to let go and allow something even greater to come in? regarding those thoughts we hold about ourselves. So often we hold thoughts about, I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, I'm whatever. And we tend to hold thoughts about other people as well. I had an experience about, having to change my mind and be flexible. About 2 years after I graduated from college, I had the chance to come together with my best friend, my best girlfriend from high school. And halfway into the conversation, I don't remember what we were talking about. She said to me, Kim, you are not seeing me for who I am now. You're expecting me to be the same I was back then. And I thought about it and I realized she was right. I had this definition of her that I just had thought was a solid, unchanging definition, and nothing in life is unchanging. Certainly we're not. Our friends aren't. Our children aren't. Our parents aren't. Mark Nepo, in his book, 10,000, I think it's 7,000 Ways to Listen, had a beautiful metaphor for this. He said he was defragging his computer one day. He was trying to figure out how to protect it from viruses. And a message came up, flashing on and off at the screen, and the message said, your definitions are 254 days old. And his thought was, yeah. And a lot of our definitions in life are old, and we need periodically to reevaluate, to take another look, to redefine, to let go of some of the old and make room for the new. We hang on sometimes to if onlys, right? Or I can't do this, or someone else should be the one. So there's a quote from Mark Nepo again that I love about this letting go. He has this beautiful way of wording things, I think. He said, in the same way we have to clean wax from our ears or dirt from our eyes, we're all asked to clean out our conclusions and judgments, which block our heart from meeting the world. Clean out our conclusions and judgments, which block our heart from meeting the world. Wow. I think that's so true right now, even with conclusions and judgments that we tend to draw about other people who think differently than us, about wearing a mask or having a vaccine or political divisions. We tend to have conclusions and judgments, and if we can clear them out, we open our heart. We open our heart to harmony and connection and love and oneness. But it's not always an easy thing to do, right? Letting go sometimes doesn't come real naturally. I thought of the Bible quote this week, too, from the New Testament, where Paul wrote in his letters to the Romans, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." In Science of Mind, we know that's what life is all about. Whatever we experience is all about the consciousness, the thoughts that we hold, which are creative. And, I also had the funny thought that in Paul's day, so many years ago, no one knew about the concept that neuroscience has taught us now, of neuroplasticity, that the brain is able to make changes, that we can form new neural pathways. But that's really what he was saying. We can form new neural pathways. This week, I was visiting my acupuncturist. Talk about letting go. There's so many changes going on right now, and they're good. We're looking for a new place to have Sunday services live in person. And so it's exciting and good, and we're looking forward to it, but it's somewhat stressful because it's like, okay, which one should we hold on to? Which one should we let go? There's just a lot of decisions to be made about how we can have this happen. So I was visiting her, and she said to me, those neural pathways are so important because when we go over the same ground again and again and again, let's say it's worry or stressful thoughts we're having, we create that pathway in our brain, a habit, and we can become, she said, virtuosos at stress. And I said to her, I don't want to be a virtuoso at stress. Please, that's not my intention. So she reminded me of a practice that I'm going to share with you, and I probably have in the past. It's a very simple one. When we're trying to hold on to either worries about the future or obsessing about what happens in the future, or holding on to worries or regrets about the past, just breathing. There's breathing that can help us activate the vagus nerve, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and going to rest and digest instead of a stress phase. So it's very simple. If you want to practice it with me, it's a quick in-breath to the count of 3 and a slow out-breath to the count of 6. Let's just do that a couple more times and you can feel the difference, I think. And one more time. So she suggested to me that I do that throughout the day. And there have been times when I've remembered to do that and times when I haven't. But it's a wonderful way to let go of obsessive thoughts, of worry, of that non-relaxed state. Let go. The other passage in the Bible that came to mind as I was thinking about this talk was in Genesis, the story of Lot and his wife leaving cities where evil was happening. And the angels told them, run, leave the city as fast as you can and go to the mountains. And of course, the mountains in metaphysical meaning always means to a higher level of consciousness. But the angels warned, do not look back. And Lot's wife, against the advice of the angels from behind Lot, looked back and was immediately turned to a pillar of salt. Wow, that's quite a striking story. But if you think about it, she looked back, perhaps with some longing, perhaps with some desire to stay in that life, to hold on to that life that they were leaving. And as a result, she became hardened, she became rigid, she became solidified. And I think that's what happens when we're not willing to let go of something whose time has come to be released. We become hardened. We become set in our ways in a way that we're not open to the new. It's not a good thing. And yet, sometimes it's not an easy thing to practice, the letting go. So I'm thinking of other areas. Parenting is a huge area where we have to continually practice letting go. Someone told me when my children were very young that parenting is really practicing a series of goodbyes. And you think about it, it is, because as a child grows from one stage to another, we have to say goodbye. Goodbye to feeding them, goodbye to making all the choices that we've been accustomed to making for them, perhaps goodbye to telling them what to wear. And all of us have had the experience of allowing a child to pick out an outfit, and maybe it's not what we would put together, but it's important to let go as parents, because our goal is to help support them to be independent beings. And so unless we're willing to let go, unless we're willing to say goodbye to that control, it's not going to happen. When I was a young person, I was not a baby person. I know there are a lot of people out there, too, if there's a baby in the room, they want to hold it. I was never like that. I did a little bit of babysitting when I was a teenager, but it was always for young children who I could play with and I enjoyed. And then I had my daughter, and I became a baby lover. But I loved every stage my two kids went through, my son and daughter. I loved it when they were infants. It was such a sweet, sweet time, but I loved it when they were toddlers, and I loved it when they were elementary school aged. And I even loved the teen years with a little bit of reservation in there because they were challenging. It was in the teen years that the letting go became a little more difficult. And my son was he will be the first to admit it, he was quite challenging when he was in his teens and his young adult years. And I learned to trust. When we talk about what to hold on to, Nancy in the beautiful reading this morning from Daily Word talked about our faith. Our faith is what we have to hold on to. Really, if I had to pick one thing, wouldn't it be our faith in God, our connection, our conscious connection with the divine? So I'm going to share with you an affirmation I have shared with several clients as well that I used for myself when my son was a challenge for me in that way. And it was a reminder to trust, to have faith in the divine in him as well as in me. It goes like this, and I will share this in our weekly newsletter this week because I always get requests for it when I share it. So picturing this child, this young adult man who I was so concerned about, this affirmation actually comes from, as I understand it, a couple Unity ministers who also had challenges with one of their children. So here it is. Child of light, I bless you. I think of you and for you, not in terms of what I think you need, should be, or do. I lift up my thoughts about you and catch a new vision of you. I see you as a child of light, guided and directed by a perfect spirit that leads you unerring on a path just right for you. I see you strong and whole, blessed and prospered. I see you guided. I see you capable and successful, courageous, confident, free of bondage of all kind. I see you as the spiritual perfect being that you are, child of light. I bless you. So affirmations are another way, that we can begin to form new neural pathways. Prayers and affirmations help us trust and let go and let God. That's a phrase we've heard a lot. Let go and let God. There's a hymn, Hold On to God's Unchanging Hands. When we try to hold on to something in this physical realm, in this physical life, it's not always going to work because things are always changing, always evolving. We think of the divine as ever present. It evolves in that it keeps expressing itself as everything in the physical universe, but the essence of it does not change. So what we hold on to is that unchanging hand of the divine. I think of the serenity prayer, God grant me the patience to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The courage to change the things I can is sometimes hard as well. I've been listening to an audiobook recently. Some of you may have heard about. It's Matthew McConaughey, the actor's book called Green Lights. And he talks about life presenting red lights and green lights. And green lights, you might guess, are those times in life when the path is clear and things flow and things seem right. And I just love that concept. And I think part of what we're called to do is to notice. Where in our life are things flowing well and feeling good, and the guidance then is that this is the right path. And where perhaps in life right now are things not going so well? Where's there a red light or a yellow light? And what does that mean if we're open to guidance? Perhaps it means we just need to be patient and wait. But perhaps it means there's something in life we're needing to let go. And again, I think the best way we can know that difference, to know the difference, is to ask for a sign, just like Jesse's mom did, asking him for a sign. We can ask the divine for a sign. What is mine to do right now? Yeah. So I had this experience again at the acupuncturist this week. She was offering different supplements that would help with my stress level. I believe, Ernest Holmes said a pillar of prayer, it's all God. So I believe in a multimodal approach when you're trying to make a change in your life. So what she suggested I do was to get guidance about which supplement would work for me. She couldn't tell me. So what she did was she had me hold the first one here and say, this will help me with my stress. And some of you know, she called it the sway test. I call it using your body as a human pendulum, because there's wisdom in the body. I believe that still small voice of the divine lives within ourselves. And so I held the first supplement. I'm probably going out of focus here now, Connie. Am I stepping back? I held the first supplement and said, this will help with my stress. And I absolutely fell right forward, which was a yes. And I did that with about 3 other supplements, and the biggest yes was that first one. So I got guidance. And again, it's another method you can use to answer any question in your life, just another tool in our spiritual toolbox to look for where that green light might be and where the red light might be. Now, yet another area where we're called to let go, and I will share that this is one of mine, is the tendency to try to be a perfectionist. And those that know me in the room are probably chuckling right now. I happen to be a Virgo and a 1 on the Enneagram, and if you understand either of those systems, you know we happen to be perfectionists, which can be a good thing. And like any quality, it can also be a challenge. So I came across the story that I just loved. It's a beautiful reminder for those of you who might have perfectionist tendencies. It's the story about two bad bricks. It was written by a Buddhist monk by the name of Ajahn Brahm. His book is called Who Delivered This Truckload of Dung? It's a book of wonderful Buddhist stories. So this is a true story. His monastery purchased a plot of land to build a new building. And once they did that, they were in debt. They had no money. There was no money to build. There was not even any money for beds. They were sleeping on doors that they propped up on bricks initially. So they had to learn how to do construction. He had been a teacher in his lay life. He didn't know anything about construction. So his first job was to build a brick wall. And he said, it's not as simple as you think. You know, you put the bricks on the mortar and you tap one side down and then the other side goes up. And so it was this balancing act to try to get the bricks to lie evenly. He took a lot of time and a lot of care. He said, I'm a monk. I have time to be really, really careful. And when the wall was done, he stepped back to look at it, and there were two bricks that were crooked. And it drove him nuts. He was embarrassed. He was angry. He was upset. He went into the abbot and he asked permission to knock. The mortar had hardened, so there was no way to take the bricks out. And he asked his abbot permission to knock the wall down. He said, I even wanted to blow it up. I was so embarrassed. And the abbot said, no. So when the monastery was finished and he would take people on tours, he would always avoid the wall. He didn't want people to see it. He was embarrassed. And one day, one of the visitors noticed the wall and made the comment, that's a nice brick wall. And Brahm looked at him and said, kind sir, do you need glasses? Because is your eyesight okay? Because look, there are two bricks that are crooked. And the visitor said, oh, there might be, but I see at least 999 other bricks that are perfectly in line. And it shifted Brahm's whole attitude when he saw the wall. He realized, yeah, if he really looked closely, there were so many that were right and just a couple that were off a little, which is common, he found out from people in the industry. And how many times do we do that? How many times do you come home from a day of work and you focus on the one thing that didn't go well, the one mistake you made, or you did a project, or you look back on your parenting, or you look back on a relationship, and there were so many good bricks, but we tend to focus on the two that were just off a little. And so I'm giving myself permission, and I'm giving all of us permission to let go of that critical eye, and let's take in the bigger picture, and let's celebrate the bricks that are in order in our life, whether it's within ourselves or within a partner. You know, we can tend to focus on other people's faults too, and not see the big picture. Letting go of perfectionism. Brene Brown quotes her mother. Brene also confesses to be a perfectionist, and her mother told her, sometimes, Brene, good enough is good enough. I like that. It's a good one for me. So as we wrap up here, let's turn our attention back to what do we hold on to? As Nancy read in the reading, we hold on to our faith. We hold on to source. We hold on to that which is changeless, which is God, which is the divine. Reverend Christian Sorensen tells a story in this month's Science of Mind magazine about after World War I, Lawrence of Arabia invited some of his friends to come to England. It was kind of a gift he gifted them for supporting him during the war. And they had a great time. They had an audience with the Queen, and they saw the sights. And the last night of the visit, he told the sheikhs, I'd like to give you a gift, anything you want, something that you can take back from England to take back home. And they knew right away what they wanted, so they took him up to the hotel room, and they pointed to the bathtub with the faucet that provided a never-ending supply of running clear water, and they said that we want to take the faucet back home to our dry desert homes. And so Christian Sorensen says, you know, what they didn't realize is that faucet was connected to a whole system of plumbing and eventually to a big, big source of water. And so for us, that's what we need to stay connected to. We can't depend on listening to a Sunday talk or, you know, going online and hearing a podcast, or there's a lot of beautiful spiritual principles being taught out there. But the reality is each one of us needs to be plugged in to that infinite source of guidance, of love, of truth. We each have to have that connection in order for that spigot to work. I love that. Hold on. Hold on to our divine connection. So I'm going to suggest to you a spiritual practice that I've been doing this week in my journaling. I decided to journal on where I'm seeing flow in my life, and it's been extraordinary. I've been really good at my consistent. I go through periods where sometimes I get a little lax, but very consistent in my morning practices, and things are just flowing. I mean, it seems like we may be finding a place to meet. There's so many things. I had 2 resolutions this week in former relationships that I had some issues with, let's just say that. And out of the blue, just without my bidding, there was resolution in both of them. So I'm in the flow. I'm feeling in the flow. So if you journal, where in my life am I feeling and seeing the flow? First of all, it's a beautiful way to have gratitude and see the blessings in your life. And then where in my life am I not seeing the flow? Because maybe the flow is indicating a green light, and maybe the places where things aren't flowing is, what do I need to let go of for now? Maybe it's just the expectation that this resolves itself now, but maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's a deeper letting go you're being called to do. And secondly, to look for the signs along the way. To use prayer, to use meditation, to use that human pendulum, whatever works, to ask for signs before making decisions that appear to be difficult at first. But once we get that guidance, once we get that clear green light from our guidance, they're really not difficult at all. Ernest Holmes, our founder of Science of Mind, said this. He said, turning from the errors of the past and no longer carrying with us the sorrows and mistakes of yesterday, today we may enter a new experience. So we let go of regrets. There was another beautiful expression from Mark Nepo about regrets. Regret is like striking a large bell in an empty field and then running through the wild grass trying to gather the sound of the strike back into the bell. It's impossible. So when we've done something we regret, why waste time running around agonizing over it? What's done is done. We need to let go. We need to move on. So let's be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Let's remember that we got to learn to know when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away or when to run. And my final thought I want to share with you today is the biggest letting go that we're all called to do at one point at the end of our lives. The big letting go, the big surrender. And I wanted to share with you that our beloved practitioner, Walter Carlisle, who made his transition just recently, during the last days of his life, last week, his beloved Reverend Linda Rapon said several times Walter would say, I'm ready to go, but I don't know how. And she said to him, I don't know either. But maybe it's like letting go of the dock, pushing the boat away, and just letting your boat float down the river, letting it float down the river. At another time, she said, I don't remember saying this, but my friend remembers my saying to him, Walter, your body and soul know what to do. So just let them guide you. Let them float. Let them do it. Let them do the work. And again, I thought, wow, it's not up here that knows where the green lights and red lights are. It's not always up here in our mental capacities that we know what to do, but our soul, our embodied divine presence often knows. Yeah. Letting go, and holding on. The balance is the biggest lesson we can learn in life. Let's go into prayer. So taking a deep breath, a deep God-filled breath. I choose to focus on the bricks that are in order. I choose to focus on the beauty that we see all around us, the evidence of this divine presence that is always right where we are. It's in our breath, it's in our bodies, it's in our affairs. It is love and order. It is beauty. It is joy. It is connection. It is truth. And most especially, God is love. God is clarity. God is freedom. And so much more. That source of all good, that source of supply, of guidance. And my prayer today is that each of us ground ourselves, hold on and ground ourselves in that source, deepening the connection, giving it time in our spiritual practices so that that spigot, like the running water in the hotel, that spigot of guidance, of good, of abundance, of clarity, of love is always, always flowing. I know that no matter what each of us is facing in life, we are one with that divine intelligence. And when we take time and do our spiritual practices to access the signs, we see the green lights, we see the red lights, and we're able to make clear decisions about when to hold them and when to fold them. And I know that at the end of our lives, each of us too are guided. Like Campbell said, when we're willing to let go of the life we had planned, the life that is waiting for us is available. And at the end of life, that life is the life after, the everlasting, eternal life. And so I affirm today that we let go of those little things, those little 2 bricks in the big wall that we tend to focus on and worry about, that we let go of regrets of the past, that we let go of worry about the future, and that we're able to live fully present right now as the divine beings, guided and blessed and supplied as we are meant to be. The kingdom is right here and right now. And I know as we set that intention and as we have the courage to make the changes that we need to make, we are so supported. We are companioned. We are never alone. And so I bless each of us in this process of holding on and letting go. I am so grateful for these teachings, for these beautiful stories from the many, many spiritual guides and teachers. And I'm grateful for all spiritual traditions that are teaching some of these same truths, no matter whether they are worshiping this morning in an ashram, a temple, a mosque, on a yoga mat, in nature. We are all one, and it is all God. I simply release this prayer, knowing it's heard and it is answered, and we say together, and so it is. Amen. We go now once again to Heather and Lauren.
That phrase keeps coming to me: when one door closes, another opens. And this song reminds me of that too, opening up. So letting in, but also surrendering, opening up in sweet surrender. Some of you may know this chant. It's been around for a while. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. We are rising up like a phoenix in the fire. Brothers and sisters, spread your wings and fly higher. We are rising up like a phoenix from the fire. Brothers and sisters, spread your wings and fly high. We are rising up. We are rising up. We are rising up. We are rising up. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening up in sweet
I love that song. It's one of my favorites. I was just after the affirmation. I can't find it, so we'll have to wing it today. Thank you, Heather and Lauren. I love that song. It is time now, first of all, to thank you all who have been giving tithes and offerings to our center. We so appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is time now, and I'm going to skip the affirmation because I have not memorized it and I can't see it. But let's just take a moment to give thanks for all the good that we are receiving in our lives. And we're called to the practice of sacred giving, which means when we're aware of the good that comes in, we make a conscious decision to share a portion of it to the places where we are spiritually fed. So if you are called to make a contribution to us this morning so that we may continue our ministry, there are a couple ways you may do that. You can go to our website, cslroguevalley.org, and hit the donate button. You can mail a check the old-fashioned way to CSL RV, P.O. Box 1458, Medford, Oregon 97501. And now, thanks to our board member Shannon Schnippe, our donate button is activated on our Facebook page. So that's an easy way for those of you who may be watching us live on Facebook or the recording afterwards to donate to us. And once again, a big thank you for your support. Coming up, a few announcements. We continue to have our morning spiritual practice calls on Monday and Wednesday on Zoom, and also a Thursday evening call. You will have the Zoom link information in our weekly e-newsletter, which comes out on Wednesday. To sign up for that letter, go to the email portion on Facebook or send us an email at cslroguevalley@gmail.com. Oh, yeah, gmail.com. All right. Let's see. We have next week a real treat in store. Melissa Felipe and Z. Egloff, two ministers who are also awesome musicians, will be doing both the music and the talk. You will not want to miss them. They are simply awesome. Prayer requests, as always. Please feel free to submit a prayer request on our website, and our whole team of practitioners and ministers will pray for you for the whole week. I think I've hit all. Oh, yeah, no, very important. The week after next Sunday, the first weekend in June, June 6th, we will be meeting in person at the Bear Creek Park Amphitheater in Medford. Same time, 10:30 a.m. It'll be a great time to finally see each other in person. So bring a lawn chair and come join us there. All right, I think it's time now for our closing song with Heather and Lauren.
So this is I Release by Reverend Michael Beckwith and Ricky Byers, and I hope that when we get to the chorus, some of you are singing along with us. There was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. Let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, ladies. So I want to acknowledge our skeleton crew that without whom we would not be able to have this broadcast. We have Bill Miner, Vivian Lacey, Connie Miner, our sound engineer, Tom Frederick. And I think that's our skeleton crew today. They're amazing. So thank you. Big thank you to all of you. I'm going to leave you with an affirmation that I've been using this week. You might adopt if it feels right. As I let go and let God, all aspects of my life flow with grace and ease. May that be the truth for you, my friends. Namaste.